We all know the crypto story, right? One minute, it's shooting to the moon. The next, it's in a free fall. It feels like total, unpredictable chaos. But what if I told you that for the pros, it's not chaos at all? It's actually a system. So let's pull back the curtain and really dig into the playbook they use to not just survive, but actually thrive in this wild market.
First things first, you have to understand the beast you're dealing with. And this chart of Bitcoin's history, well, it says it all. You see those insane, life-changing climbs? But I want you to look at those light blue areas. Those are the drawdowns, the drops from a peak all the way down to the bottom. And we are not talking about a little 10% dip. We're talking about multiple crashes of over 80%. That's the kind of volatility that just vaporizes most retail accounts.
So that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? When you're riding a roller coaster that seems specifically designed to throw you off, how in the world do the pros manage to stay on and consistently make money? What is it that they know that most of us don't?
Well, the answer starts with a completely different way of looking at the market. It's a strategy they've borrowed straight from the world of hedge funds. Instead of trying to guess which way the market's going to go, they aim to become market neutral.
Okay, so what on earth does that actually mean? It means you set up your trades so you're not just making a simple bet that the price is going to go up. The real goal is to make money whether the market is booming, crashing, or just going sideways. You're trying to insulate yourself from the market's wild swings.
And this is where it gets really interesting. You see, most of us are taught to buy and hold. You buy some Bitcoin, you hope it goes up. Super simple. But you're completely exposed. If the market tanks, you go right down with it. The professional, market-neutral way is all about playing both sides. You go long on one asset, betting it'll go up, while at the same time you go short on another, betting it'll go down. That way, you're not profiting from the market's direction, but from the difference in how those two assets perform.
Now, to pull a strategy like that off, you can't just wing it. You need the right tools. And the first part of the professional's toolkit is all about learning to read the language of the market itself. And that means digging into the price charts.
This is something called technical analysis. And the core idea is actually pretty simple. It's that everything, all the news, the fundamentals, the investor psychology, all of it is already reflected in the price you see on the screen. The goal here is to find a clear set of rules so you can trade without emotion getting in the way.
And here's what that looks like in action. You see these things called indicators, like the MACD on the left or Bollinger Bands on the right. Just think of them as special lenses you can put over a price chart. They're built on math, and they help you see things like momentum, volatility, and potential turning points that are pretty much invisible to the naked eye. They help turn what looks like chaos into a set of signals.
But does this stuff actually work? This quote from a master's thesis at ETH Zurich just nails the mission. It's not just about chasing those epic rallies. It's about systematically dodging the devastating crashes. And they actually put this whole idea to the test.
And the results from their test are pretty incredible. On the left, you've got your basic buy and hold. On the right, you have a strategy using these technical indicators. Just look at the Sharpe ratio. That's a fancy way of measuring your return for the amount of risk you took. It nearly doubled. But here's the kicker. Look at the maximum drawdown. It went from a stomach-churning 69.5% loss down to a much, much more manageable 14.8%.
Let's just put one number on that. That is a 78% reduction in the worst-case scenario. That is literally the difference between blowing up your account in a bear market and actually surviving to trade another day. It's a massive, massive improvement in how you manage risk.
But here's the thing. Price charts, they're only half the story, especially in crypto. The pros also use a second, and you could argue, much more powerful toolkit that is completely unique to this space. They look directly at the blockchain itself.
And this is the key difference you've got to understand. Technical analysis tells you what the price is doing. On-chain analysis, that helps you understand why it's doing it. It lets you examine the actual flow of money on the blockchain to see the behavior that's driving the price moves.
And this is only possible because blockchains are basically open books. Think about it. They're these public, permanent ledgers where every single transaction is recorded for everyone to see, forever. On-chain analysis is the art of digging through that mountain of data to find gems of real intelligence. And the stuff you can find is just incredible. You can literally track the wallets of the biggest players, the so-called whales, and see what they're buying or selling. You can watch in almost real time the money flowing into those huge Bitcoin ETFs from giants like BlackRock. You can see if a big company is actually buying Bitcoin for their balance sheet. It is a level of transparency that just doesn't exist anywhere in traditional finance.
So, okay, we've got these two incredibly powerful toolkits, one that reads the charts and another that reads the blockchain. The real professional edge, the secret sauce, comes from putting them together.
Because, look, there's no magic bullet, there's no single indicator that's going to tell you the future. The smart players see each of these toolkits as a different lens. Technical analysis is kind of like looking at the horizon through a telescope, while on-chain analysis is like getting a satellite view from orbit. If you only use one, you've got a massive blind spot.
So how do they actually use them together? Well, it's kind of like a two-step process. First, you might use your technical tools to spot a pattern on the chart that looks like a potential breakout. That's your hypothesis. But you don't just blindly jump in, no. Then, you switch over to the on-chain data to verify it. Are the big whale wallets buying? Is money flowing off of exchanges, which suggests people are planning to hold for a while? The on-chain data either confirms or rejects what the chart is hinting at.
And that's really what this is all about. It's the entire goal. It's about moving away from making decisions based on fear or greed or some random tweet you saw. It's about transforming the crypto casino into a strategic market where you make smart, data-driven decisions.
So as we wrap this up, the big takeaway is that the pros find their edge by systematically using data, all kinds of data, to build a more complete picture of the market. And that really just leaves one question for you to think about. What data is shaping your view?